Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunities Coaching YouTube channel. Welcome to those of you who are new. Welcome back to those of you who are seasoned veterans. What we do around here is bring about conversations of a psychological, mental health, emotional health paradigm. We do what we can in as often a way as possible, and we also continue to do this work for your benefit. Hopefully, there's something here in the 1,300 plus audios that we have that will be beneficial to you if you're looking for ways to kind of balance your energy, life, relationship, business coaching, energy coaching. Would love to be of assistance to you in that way. You can reach out through Twitter at PO Perception or in the About Me section of this YouTube page and lead yourself to a connection there and ultimately balance things out in a good way. So, signs of an old soul is the concept of this particular audio. The first thing is you feel like an outsider in your world. So, an outsider in your world is more about feeling like other people have different priorities than you do, or other people have different worldviews than you do that seem to be more modern and often less in line with previous generations. An old soul is a person who tends to look for simplicity, tends to look for easier ways to break things down, and looks for ways where the old way or the more historically significant way is the way that they live. They tend to value relationships more than progress. They tend to be more about honor and integrity than accomplishment, and they tend to ultimately move forward through life based on what's easiest and best for everybody, as opposed to connecting on a level that's, hey, this is what I want now, so here's what I'm going to pursue. And so it's more about long game than short game for a lot of time. In a lot of times when people have that propensity and ultimately make things come forward there, and ultimately getting things in a good way. And so ultimately that can be at least somewhat, at least somewhat, you know, balanced and good and pure and all that good stuff. So that can be an interesting way of kind of balancing things out and looking at things and making things a little easier, a little better for the average person. The next thing there is ultimately kind of you're more comfortable by yourself. A lot of times in modern society, people tend to be more concerned with being around people, and loneliness is a major issue. Now, in an older soul mentality, becoming comfortable within oneself is definitely something that people had to do. But there was wider space between individuals. You had to be more deliberate about making plans with others, and thus you had to be comfortable with being in your own company a lot of the time. Social interaction was more intentional, but it also might be less often, and especially without technology, people had to plan a little better as it related to making time for relationships and building those relationships effectively and accordingly. The next thing kind of is there's a little less dependency on stuff. Materialism is less of a focus in older times. That's because you had to appreciate what you had, and also there weren't as many options for things. We didn't have, for example, technology and video games and 27 stores and all these things to distract us. And so what begins to happen is the things you had meant more, and you bought them based on usefulness rather than desire. And so you weren't as concerned with stuff. And when you did get something, whatever the product was, you used it to its maximum value, and you didn't really care one way or the other about it. The next thing there does become advice. You're good at giving advice and also willing to take advice, but in a quantified way. And the quantified way is, does this person actually have something that's relevant to what I need? A lot of times people ask for opinions now just to have someone to talk to, just to ultimately kind of feel connected or feel more connected than average. And so a person who is more driven in the old soul sort of way ultimately is more interested in making things come forward based on what's best for moving their challenge forward, but they'll give advice based from previous experience rather than opinion, which is usually, not always, but usually a better way to receive advice. The last thing is older souls tend to be more interested in deep conversation. Um, that ultimately comes down to deeper conversation being more emotionally fulfilling, but also um, the quality of conversation was directly related to effectiveness and need in the old days as opposed to time filling, and so that becomes another challenge there as well. So hopefully this is helpful. I encourage you to keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Till next time, everybody.